So when I'm working with the creation of a proficiency scale for, let's say, literacy, I set myself up with a 4.0, 3.0, 2.0, 1.0, and 0.0, but I don't worry about giving myself too much room for the 1.0 and the 0.0 or the 4.0 because I'm not really planning on working those pieces out. I need clarity with my colleagues on what exactly a 3.0 item is and what a 2.0 item is for this standard. So for today's work, we're going to use grades 9, 10, so high school, 9, 10, literacy, writing standard number 4. And so the first thing I do is I go into that 3.0 area and I just take an exact copy of the standard as written. I just put it right in. And then I unpack it. So I go into the each verb. And so for our story here, we have produce clear and coherent writing. Okay. And then I have in which the development, organization, and style are appropriate to task. So I'm going to separate each of those items. Produce coherent development, produce coherent organization, and produce clear style. And all of those are appropriate to task. So I had to rewrite it and rework the standard a little bit, but now I have criteria. And these are criteria that you and I could picture in a rubric. This is what the student has to do. They have to produce. Now I look at the produce, that verb, and I'm not too sure about it being observable and measurable. So do I want to just say produce these pieces, or maybe I want to say create? Okay, they have to generate, or they have to create. So they have to create coherent writing with development that's appropriate to the task. And they have to create coherent writing in which the organization is appropriate to the task. And they have to create clear writing in which the style is appropriate to the task. So what do we have next? They also need to have it aligned and be appropriate to the purpose and the audience. So that's something I can separate there, and I can say, is the style appropriate to the audience? And then I can take organization and say, is the organization appropriate to the task? And the development of it, is it appropriate to the purpose? So now I can go in and actually edit my final 3 elements that have to be included in this 3.0 task. And for that, I end up with something that's observable, it's measurable. I unpacked the standard to have these 3 elements. Now I'm ready to go to the 2.0 level. The first thing I do is cut and paste the first 3 items that I had under 3.0, and I bring it right back down to the 2.0. Some of your colleagues will have trouble with this because they will feel they want to talk it down because it's 2.0. That must be easier. And I want you to feel really confident going, no, no, no. The first items at the 2.0 level are word for word what was at the 3.0 level. But the issue is the child might only be able to do one of them. And isn't it possible that a child might be able to create coherent writing in which the development is appropriate to the task, but not be able to do something that is organized for the purpose? It's entirely possible, because what happens here is I need to be able to have evidence that the student is still approaching the standard, even though they can only do part of the standard. It's a vital part of the process. But now that I have that, I can now add additional 2.0 items that are prerequisites to the standard. So what would be a prerequisite to their ability to create coherent writing in which the development and style are appropriate to the task and purpose and audience? Oh, well, maybe they can complete a graphic organizer to show the organization of a piece of writing for a specific task or purpose. Maybe they can identify the characteristics of their audience that they need to meet. Even maybe defining the audience for their intended purpose. These are all prerequisites that a student would have to be able to do before they could actually create a piece of writing. How about if they could revise a piece of existing writing for better organization? That's a training technique I might do to get a child ready to create an organized piece of writing. I don't want to put too many 2.0 prerequisites here. Avoid the desire to rewrite an entire dissertation on what it takes to backtrack from this. But putting in a couple of key pieces, especially pieces you feel students would struggle with, that you would want to use as a diagnostic 2.0 item, so that you could say, when a child wasn't successful at the standard, I bet it was identifying audience, because that's the part that seems problematic here. You want evidence that that's exactly what was the trouble, and you don't want to make assumptions. Once you have this built out for the 3.0 and the 2.0 level, you are ready to start designing tasks to be 2.0 items and 3.0 items for your assessments.